to sit down, but that's not going to work today. Let me welcome everybody. Probably for most of you, this may be your first time to be part of or see this beautiful gardens. And a lot of weddings are done here. And today we are here for a very special and exciting occasion. We're here to celebrate the lives and the joining together of marriage of Mr. John Ryan to Miss Krista Zimmerman. In their devotion, respect, and love for each other, John and Krista today wish to unite in the sacred bond of marriage and to dedicate themselves to each other's happiness and well-being as life mates and partners. Throughout history, men and women have sought to recognize the great moments in their lives. And on these occasions, they always call first upon family and friends to share in their joy and happiness. Therefore, in the beauty of this setting and this day, John and Krista invite all of you to help celebrate the beginning of this exciting journey that we call marriage. Now, John and Krista, on this your very special wedding day, as you begin your lives together as husband and wife, I get to be the first to wish the two of you a whole lifetime filled with dreams come true. You're wished all the happiness and peace that comes from having someone to trust, someone to care for, someone to share with. But most of all, the two of you are going to have someone to love the rest of your lives. I know it's going to be the kind of love that's going to sustain you and keep you through possible difficult days, as well as making happy times even more wonderful. It's going to last a lifetime. A lifetime that's beginning today. Remember, this is always going to be your anniversary day. John, one last bit of advice. Please try to never forget it. So, who gives Krista to be married to John?
Her mother and I do.
Very good answer. And you may give your daughter a kiss and offer her hand. And then you get to be photographer. Well, I assume today we have a mixture of family and friends that have joined us, right? So I want to welcome everyone again. Now I want to give you an opportunity to participate. Maybe you've never attended a wedding where the minister did that, but there's a couple times in the ceremony I like to involve the people. It's not a big thing, but I think you can make a contribution here. If you would like now to affirm this marriage between these two, and you'd like to express your enthusiastic support of them, would all of you say out loud together, "We do"?
We do.
No one said we don't. That's a very good sign, isn't it? Very good sign. You know, I always like to ask this question in every wedding ceremony. Every wedding ceremony I do, I ask this question. What is marriage? Well, we could take a long time to answer that, couldn't we? But we aren't. I'm going to quote some words that I wished I had written that describe marriage in a way that I think the two of you want to experience it. Quote, "Marriage is a touching of hearts, a blending of souls, a sacred promise to seek and exalt only the good in one another, accepting all else with understanding in the name of love." On a personal note, I've had the privilege of having John and Krista into my home. And in that very informal, private setting, we do a number of things. One of the things that I enjoy the most, I guess, is because I love to hear love stories. So I let them share their love story with me. Now, you know, most of you know that, I guess you remember, or you knew them back then, that they met back in 2005. You were young then, weren't you? 2005. And finally, John, you had the courage on October the 10th of last year to ask the big question. He asked the big question. And I know you're probably ready for him to ask it. Now, Krista, there's a couple things that I want to remind you of about your man. First, I want you to admire how handsome he is. She says he is. Does everybody agree? He's very, very handsome. Very handsome. Secondly, I hope you agree with me, because he saw something in you that was so different that impressed him. He had the courage to ask you the big question. The big question. Would you not agree with me that that makes him very intelligent? Well, let's move on because we don't have a pen to put it in his head. Let's say at least one very special thing about the bride. We can say a lot more, but I always think about the day of the wedding and the difference between the preparation time of the groom and the bride. Now he got in the shower and he's cleaned himself up and he looks really nice, but you invested probably a little more time for this event than he did. But the main thing I want to say is thank you for preparing, presenting yourself to John and to all of us as the most beautiful bride that you possibly could be on this your very special wedding day. You know, I forgot to ask you if you were, are you a good cook?
Getting there.
Getting there. You know, good cooks follow good recipes, don't they?
Yes.
Well, I wanted to come up with something a little different, so some time ago I sat down and wrote out a recipe. And in my recipe, I put some ingredients that I think are absolutely important to produce a long-lasting, blessed marriage. So here are the ingredients now for my recipe for marriage. 1 cup of courtesy. 2 cups of milk of human kindness. 2 cups of thank yous. 1 gallon of faith in God and each other. But only 1 small pinch of in-laws. 3 drops of pure extract of I'm sorry or forgive me. What about 2 cups of patience and 1 cup of contentment? 1 cup each of confidence and encouragement. And we'll put in 1 cup of blindness to each other's faults. Now, in this recipe, you have to stir it regularly and remove any specks of temper, jealousy, or criticism. You got to sweeten it well with a generous portion of humility and honesty. And finally, John, you never served this recipe with a hot tongue. Krista, with a cold shoulder. That's a good recipe. A friend of mine wrote these words entitled The Institution of Marriage. The institution of marriage was begun that a man and woman might learn how to love, and in loving know joy. That a man and woman might learn how to share pain and loneliness, and in sharing know strength. That a man and woman might learn how to give, and in giving know communion. The institution of marriage was begun that a man and woman might, through their joy, their strength, and their communion, become creators of life itself. Marriage is a high and holy state to be held in honor among all men and women. So this is the reason for our gathering here today, to renew our faith in the strength of hope and the power of love. When I opened my Bible and I began to read the creation story in the first chapters of the book of Genesis, I found these words. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Now, why is this text so important? Because in the Hebrew concept of marriage and in the Hebrew language, the word translated from Hebrew into English, unite, means to glue together. So what is the word picture in the creation story of marriage? God gluing 2 people together. God gluing 2 people together. And it's his perfect plan that you never allow anybody or anything to unglue you. But John and Krista, today you two are entering into life's most important of all human relationships. This relationship centers not only around your affection for one another, but also companionship and mutual respect. Let me remind you that a good marriage brings comfort from there's sorrow, peace when there's unrest, and laughter when there's happiness. Your love for each other is going to make your burdens lighter because you're going to divide them.